And last but not least, I will talk about Novocaine. So before I begin, yeah, why you didn't watch Novocaine, bro?
I didn't have time. I didn't think it was worth my time, but it was okay. Fine.
All right,
I,
well, I do hope that you do get around to seeing it because it kind of is worth your time. It is certainly
okay.
worth your time, right? Yes, I had to see that. I had to get out of the way, right? So I didn't see the ad itself, the trailer itself, when it first dropped, right? But
Right.
because of my frequent visits to Caribbean cinemas over the past couple of months, yes, I saw the trailer for it, and yeah, it looked engaging enough. It looked fun enough, right?
Right.
But the big sell for it, of course, is Jack Quaid, right? Who stars this, right? And it's funny too because this is the second film he's been in this year. The last one being Companion, which I talked about when it dropped, and you finally, you actually saw it for yourself after the fact, right? But yeah, and this alludes to what I said before with the Electric Seat review, right? So seeing that, the final season, the boys kind of taking its while to be put together. Yeah, Jack Quaid say, here's what, I gotta do some Hollywood flicks, so I gotta make some cash, right? Like, so when all they're ready, just give me a call and I'll jump into set and, do my thing, right? Alright, so as I mentioned before we begin, this is an action comedy, right? So here he plays Nathan Keane, right? He is this assistant manager at this bank, right? More of a trust credit union, right? It's
Right.
established early on he has something called he has congenital insensitivity to pain or CIP.
Right. Right.
Right. So that means that he is, he does not respond to pain the way how we do, right? So, case in point, earlier on, hot coffee actually spills onto his fingers, and his fingers are burnt, right? They're actually seeing his fingers are red, but he doesn't feel a single thing, right? And they have like a nice little side gag going on. I'm not gonna spoil it, where it's shown, just how let me just say how OCD he is as far as his condition goes, right? He's almost
Right.
afraid that if he runs into something that's all say without spoiling anything in his office, he will get hurt. So he has,
Yeah. Yeah.
little
You gotta be
preventative
careful.
things,
Yeah,
to
because
do it. Right?
you could get all kind of infections or whatever it is. You don't even know. You get cut or whatever it is. So I can imagine you gotta be extra careful in some ways.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. So yeah, not a surprise. This makes him an introvert, right? So when he's not working at this bank, he is at home playing a video game. And for the life of me, I was even asking my friend this while I was watching this, right? Is oh gosh, I was trying to figure out what the game was that he was playing. I really was, but I couldn't tell what it was. I was wondering if it was like League of Legends or something like that. I wasn't sure. I'm not really familiar with those types of games anyway, right? But I really was trying to figure out what game it was. But of course, it's not it not gonna be some game that they invent for the show. Of course, like they wouldn't do us that. Like that's not how Hollywood works these days, right? But yeah, anyway, so if he's not at work, he's at home playing games, right? He's just home to himself, right? But at the workplace, there is a coworker of hers. There's a coworker by the name of Sherry, right? Who is played by McGill Amber Midthunder. If you remember her,
Yeah.
she was
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
Prey.
Pray.
Yep,
Pray. Yeah. Yeah.
yep. She is there, looking fine, 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 fine. Yeah. And yeah, they instantly hit it off, right? And they start a relationship together, right? And while they're watching this, right, and if you're listening to this review, I imagine that you probably saw the trailer for this, right? But if you haven't, I would suggest you go in as blind as possible, right? But forgive the slight spoilers if you haven't seen the trailer, right? So yeah, it starts off at first as just this weird sort of rom com, right? This likable introvert with this weird condition, falls in love with this girl, right? And then one day they just head back out to work, right? And these bank robbers show up, right? Toting guns and, asking
Right.
where the safe at, where the money at, right? And Sherry is taken hostage and just through some circumstances, I would say, well, I should say just through some motivation, unexpected of him as well. Yeah, Nathan decided to go after the robbers, right? And yeah, this
This boy in our movie too, right? Oh gosh, Spider Man. He not too.
Yes, Jacob
Okay.
Batalon, yeah, Batalon,
Right.
yeah,
Right.
which yeah,
Okay.
and
I'm
yeah,
watching the trailer for him now. There's a quick moment in the trailer.
yes. He actually is his gamer friend, right? And well, he actually
Right.
has
Right.
a
Right.
has a role to play in the show here, right? But I'm not gonna say what it is, right? But yeah, he is the extra comic relief in this, right? And yeah, what we
Right.
just get is just basically this unconventional action film, under the guise of which again starts off as a romantic, like a nice little romantic comedy, but this leads to like this grimy, over the top action film, right? And I'll stop there.
Right.
So, like I say, the sell of this movie is Jack Quaid, right? And yes, he holds the show down, like he holds it on his shoulders, right? I thought that the man did a great job with this, right?
Right.
Because not only does he have to sell the comedy and sell the quirkiness of his character, but you also have to sell the action, well, the physical humor and action in it as well, right?
Right.
Um,
Right.
but with him, with his experience in shows like the boys, right? Yes, this show is kind of tailor made for him anyway, right? Because yes, of course he does not have the action hero look, right? But as he sell of movies like this, it actually reminds me of actually remember a show called Nobody with
Right. Right. Right.
yeah, Hobie from Better Call
With
Saul.
Saul. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Yeah,
Right. Yeah.
right, him, right, where he does not look like
Yeah.
an
That's
action
hard. I
star.
remember that.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. I fuck with that show, right? Yeah, but yeah, where the cell is, he does not look like a badass, but he is pushed to be like in that case, he was a badass. It's just he didn't look like one. But when he was
Right.
pushed,
Exactly. Right.
especially that scene with him
Yeah.
in the bus, is like, all
The
right,
boss.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
he a badass, right? But this one is like Nathan is not a badass at all, right? But it's just he has his condition. But when he pushes himself into the situation where he have to go after these gun-toting criminals, it's like, yeah, I could use these powers. Sorry, not powers. I could use these capabilities, if you will, and survive, right? Because that's his element, right? He could take an ass whooping. He could go through physical assault, if you will. His body could be put through the ringer, but somehow he survives, right? That's the thing, right? But he is still human. I love that the show always reminds you of that, right? So yes, he will still feel pain. He will react to pain and all that kind of stuff, right? It's just it takes a longer while for him to react to things, but he is still. This is also the beauty of his character, right? He will still react to the incident happening, right? So case in point, he will get shot at, and his instinct will be like, oh my god, I just got shot. What the hell, right? I got shot, sorry. What the hell, right? Even though he wouldn't really feel the bullet. That's the catch. I thought that he
Yeah.
played that balanced actor. I thought he did that very well, right? Because again, he has to react to the fact that he is being hurt, even though he does not feel any pain. That is hard to do, and I thought that he did that very well, right? He also has to sell himself as a great, love interest, right? And just the chemistry between him and Amber, was great, right? It was magnetic, if you will. You really do feel for him, you do root for him, you want them to be together, even though things will go sideways, but it works, right? So he does that very well. Also, Amber, she really did a great job in this film as well. In terms of just being the love interest and whatnot, right? What I will say without spoiling much though is that I love that they subvert the how to say damsel in distress trope. I love how they did that.
Right. Right.
So to
Right.
those who would
So
think that she is
that
going
kind
to
of
be the
puts into it.
right, exactly. So to those who
Right.
think that she is just merely going to be the damsel in distress, think again. I love how the show does that, right? They also get this guy right to play the main villain, Ray Nicholson. I'm actually not familiar with this guy, right? But he actually was in a film that I didn't get to see last year called Smile 2. That was actually one of
Right.
the more well received horror films from last year, right? But yeah, believe it or not, he is Jack Nicholson's son. So we have
Okay.
Dennis Quaid and Meg Ryan's
Yeah.
son
Yeah. Some
alongside
nepo babies. Yeah.
Jack Nicholson's son in the same movie. That's dope. That's dope, right? But yeah, he is the douchebag. He is the character they love to hate. You know what I mean? But he works. I felt that he did yeah. His performance was just spot on as far as this villain that you just love to hate, right? You know. I just see scenarios where they put Nathan in or say Jack Quaid in really work as well. Yes, they are silly and they are over the top, but that's the point of it. That's the sell of it. It's not entirely. It's not meant to be taken entirely seriously, right? Even though when it comes to the action scenes or the intense moments, yes, they are played as kind of somewhat serious in a sense, right? So it's not all laughs and giggles, right? There's a lot of intensity in the film, right? But it's never outweighed by the humor and just the absurdity of it all, right? That being said, though, if I do have a gripe, though, and in this case it's minor, right? But I could see some people feeling the same way about it, right? So for me, I think it's just because of how the show was designed as, right? Where you could tell it's trying to bring the couples. It's like a couple movie, even though it's not a full on romantic comedy, but it's more of an action, right? You want to bring you want to bring the couples into the audience, right? Because of the whole love thing between Amber
Right,
and Jack's characters, right?
right,
So I would say if that was the main anchor of this film, and it was just about this guy reacting to pain later than others, this film would have been grimier, would have been more over the top. I would say more violent. It would have been more visceral, though. You know what I mean? Compared to what we got here, right? That's not to say that this show isn't violent, because it is. It is violent, right? But it's not. It. I'll put it like this, right? Actually, just kind of pulling from a review that I saw. The review that she brought up, well, the film that she brought up, what she was comparing it to was Crank, right? Where in that case,
right.
Crack, right, which is a guilty pleasure movie of mine, right?
Yeah,
That was just schlocky. It was gratuitous. It was just meant to be crass. Though. That's the vibe of it. It was crass from start to end. It was Jason just cussed up a storm. There have a moment where you see the C word printed out to the bad head. You know what I mean?
yeah,
That's the vibe. It's just crassness from start to end. That and the sequel was crass, right? This one is not going for crass, right? You see, with the conceit of Crack, they could go over the top with it. They could go insane with it, right? Especially with the directors involved, right? Oh gosh, those guys who did the Ghost Rider sequel that I hated,
yeah,
by the
yeah.
way.
I forget the name. Yeah, you're talking about. Yeah,
Right, those
did
guys
it? Yeah,
who, yeah,
right,
who have the video game experience background. Those guys, yeah, yeah. You see, with that film, they went above and beyond the Call of Duty to just be stylized and over the top AF, right? It was like that. In this case, with a premise like this, with this guy who could feel no pain or whatnot, a part of me felt like they could have stepped things up just a little bit more. They could have ramped things up just a little bit more. That's how I felt with it,
okay,
right? You know.
right, 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 right.
So while I was thoroughly entertained by the film itself, in the comedy, in the romance, and in the action, yeah, part of it felt like the action should have could have been ramped up even more, right? And I think it's just
Right.
because of how it's marketed, like almost like off of that whole premise alone with the whole feel no painting, you're gonna get some really insane like over the top action,
Right.
like this,
Because this
that
thing,
kind of style,
the
though.
way
But you
that
don't really get that here with this film, unfortunately.
I've got the tone of this. It make me feel like oh god, that movie with where this fella went kind of off kilter. We call him Harry Potter. Remember that movie where he had guns tied to his hands and he's in a bad.
Gods Akimbo. That's another
Right,
guilty pleasure movie of mine. Yeah, you
right.
see, like in
And also,
that show,
it felt
because
like
of
one of
the
those.
sorry, but because the style of that, and because it was a
Right,
sci-fi, whatever it is, yeah, they could go insane, they could go bonkers with it,
right.
right? I'm not saying this show could have gone insane, but I just felt like again the premise they could have find ways to just make it a little bit more over the top and ridiculous. That's what I
Right.
get at. Yeah.
No, yeah, yeah. Just thinking of that film. Now, that's what this film felt like. Now it's like,
Oh,
all right, I could wait and see this a little later. I wasn't super hyped for it,
right.
but I like Jack Quaid. I want to see what they're going to do. 'Cause I don't know Albert Midthunder. I didn't recognize any trailer, but I recognize what do you call him? That boy from Spider Man. Like, okay,
Yeah, yeah.
so it's
That,
like, all
that
right,
guy, Red. Yeah, yeah, exactly. And I should mention too. Yeah, he's there. I mean, he serves a purpose. That's all I'll say. And he brings some humor
right,
into it, right? But really, who brings the most humor, of course, is Jack, right? I really think that, yeah, as a leading man,
right,
yeah, yeah, this was his moment to shine. I think that he needs this in his career, because yeah, heaven knows where his career will go after the boys end next year, But
well,
I think that he on the
yeah,
right track with the
boys,
whole
boys
leading.
wrapping up, Star
Yeah.
Trek wrap up. Yeah,
Oh,
no, he's a star. I mean, I ain't pulling from him at all. Like he could, but I don't know what he could do to pick him up because he had to get something big now. And I could easily see him joining the DCU or the MCU, something like that. To be funny, to be
That's
honest.
a good point, I mean, if he could hook up with
Yeah,
Spider
yeah.
Man, homie, what I mean? That, yeah, he could
I
get
thinking. No, I thinking that. Well, listen, I have good reason to think that the DCU might start off strong. Yeah, I think he hook up with James Gunn and do some.
Oh
I
yeah,
don't know who he could be,
that's true,
but
But now I'm
but he
wondering,
could be he could be the DCU.
I think it'll be funny if he does this right after the boys end. So it'll be funny, he went from
You know,
from a superhero
right,
show
right,
to
right,
like another
right,
superhero franchise, whatever it is.
right, right,
But yeah,
right.
but yeah, as a wrap
Yeah,
up
but the
here,
matter
right?
of fact, he doing this project, they're saying that he want to put himself out,
That
Yeah,
that's
go ahead.
true.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry.
But yeah, as a wrap up here, right? So I like that in Companion, he was a villain. Sorry if I spoil that, but yeah, he was a villain.
Right.
In this case, he's a hero.
Right.
So
Right.
it shows that the man have range. He have range, right? And I like that
Yeah.
he plays these sort of everyman kind of characters. Even in Companion, he seemingly was
Yeah.
like an
Exactly.
everyman kind of character, but it's how it slips into, oh, this is who I really am, right? So like I feel like he find a little, sweet spot as far as perform, roles that he pick out, right? He looks normal, but it's always something kind of off about it. I feel like he ought to sell with that, right? I mean, he got that with the boys too, right? So the man know what he doing, right? But yeah, I just felt like just off that premise, let's say one last time, just off that premise, we could have got like they could have capitalized on the premise a little bit more. Like we could have gotten a little bit more over the topness in terms of the action, like just more, yeah, just more insane stuff. That's all to say, but not too much. Like I wasn't
Right.
asking
Right. Right.
for Crank or Guns Akimbo level style of action, but something sort of in the mid range in terms of that. You know what I mean? Given the premise, right? But yeah, that being said, I'm still gonna give this a strong trade. I have to like 4 out of 5, man. I still think that it is worth checking out on the big screen. Unfortunately, when I went, there was not much people because I went to an early show. But yeah, I
I
imagine
saw
that
this.
people
I
would
think this
be.
had a pretty low. I think this had a pretty low box office overall. Like it's one of the
I
weakest box
yeah,
office for a
I
while.
saw this actually
Yeah.
this morning actually, and they also they also mentioned Mickey 17 too not doing well in the box office.
Yeah. I saw that. Yeah. I
Yeah.
saw that drop off strong.
Yeah, and of course, they had to throw in Captain America Brave New World, right? So now,
Right.
people
Right.
gotta be freaking out and say, what we have to do to get people to go into theaters? What we gonna do?
As I
Which is
said,
sad. What's
as I said,
which is sad though because in the next few days we get in Snow White.
well, yeah, that gonna be a mess on its own. But no, my whole thing is that it's just weird space right now, and as I said, Superman gonna be the test, like that gonna be the real test, like not. I'm not sure if Fantastic Four good. I think it'll do okay, but it's really Superman. That gonna be the real test. Like if that don't if that fall up, the industry in real trouble. Like that'll be the real like rough test. But we'll see.
Yeah, we will, right? But yeah, I personally not seeing this as like the end of Hollywood or the end of the movie industry or the end of the box office just because a couple of shows underperform, right? But it does suck when there are shows, shows like that and Mickey 70 that aren't perfect, they aren't great, right? But they're watchable and they're decent and they're actually worth the price of a ticket, right? Or I guess if you want to wait a few weeks or whatever till they come out on streaming and then be like, yeah, I saw it. But it sucks that shows like this are gonna be swept underneath the rug of the box office, if you will, because yeah, they underperform or not that many people talking about it or seeing any positive things about it, right? But it really, really does suck though. But I don't think it's like the end, like, we're not gonna get, like we're gonna go back to how it was in the pandemic where we just watch a bunch of Hollywood movies at home. I don't think it's gonna be like that, right? But it sucks that, movies that don't have the big names and whatnot or
Yeah.
the big premises or big high concepts or whatnot, and being observed now, at least given a chance though. It sucks, right? But yeah, I do think that Novocaine is worth it. I really do think that it is a fun time at the movies. I think that it is worth checking out. But again, it's up to you. I mean, if you want to wait till it comes out digital, fine, no problem. But I still think that it is worth seeing on the big screen, man. Again, it's not perfect, but it's worth it. It's worth it, right?
Yeah.
But again, it just sucks that now people just less hesitant to see shows that look okay, right? Because they I don't know, maybe it's just I don't know. I don't know if it's just because they
No, like
fear that it will be a waste of money or they just
no,
don't
yeah,
care.
that's a problem with the modern industry, and
Right.
there's a big rehauling with respect to like how streaming should work and whatnot. And I would argue, yeah, we're not middling movies anymore. Like it's
Right.
either independent stuff or big tentpoles now. Like it have no in betweens. Them days done. There's a hot minute we have had like them in between movies where you can just enjoy and you go. But because of the whole system thing and then COVID just wrap up all of that, it's a whole thing. But we'll see. Time will tell. As I said, we'll see what the big thing. But the big stuff's still making money. Like let's be clear about that. So it's like we'll find out.
Yeah, we'll see.